China's foreign ministry stated that India lacks the authority to develop what China calls South Tibet. This follows reports of India's plans to accelerate hydropower projects in Arunachal Pradesh, a region claimed by both countries. China insists any development by India is illegal, asserting South Tibet as its own territory. India's foreign ministry has not yet responded to China's statement, following recent talks aimed at resolving border issues. In other news, a man was caught attempting to smuggle over 100 live snakes into mainland China concealed in his trousers. Customs officers interpreted the traveler moving from Hong Kong to Shenzhen. Inside his pockets, officers found sealed bags containing various live species of snakes, including milk and corn snakes. China has heightened efforts against animal trafficking with strict laws on non-native species. The man faces legal consequences under these biosecurity and disease control regulations. Israeli military forces have intensified their military operations in Gaza City, targeting multiple schools over the past week. The UNRWA chief has urgently called for a ceasefire, denouncing what he describes as blatant violation of international humanitarian laws. The Gaza government media office has accused Israel of blocking humanitarian aid, describing it as a violation of international law and condemning what they term as a deliberate starvation policy. Internationally, condemnation mounts against Israeli airstrikes on schools in Gaza, with countries like France and Jordan labeling such tactics as unacceptable and calling for thorough investigations into civilian casualties. In response to Israeli offensive, the armed wing of Hamas, the Qassam brigades, said that it is engaging Israeli forces in fierce battles across Gaza City. The ongoing Israel's war on Gaza has forced tens of thousands of civilians to flee their homes amidst a backdrop of renewed ground offensives and airstrikes. The Israeli army chief Herzi Halevi has reaffirmed efforts to weaken Hamas through targeted military actions across Gaza, aiming to dismantle their infrastructure and eliminate leadership targets. Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant followed talks with U.S. envoy Brett McGurk, emphasized Israel's stance against Hamas near the Egypt-Gaza border, discussing the strategies for the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. In related escalation, Hezbollah has launched rockets targeting Israeli positions in the Golan Heights in response to Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley. The exchange of fire has led to escalating tensions and widespread concerns over regional stability. Pakistan has extended the stay of 1.45 million registered Afghan refugees for 1 year, alleviating fears of forced return. The extension, which is valid until June 30th, 2025, follows the expiration of their proof of registration cards on June 30th, 2024. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif approved the extension, and the UNHCR has welcomed the decision, noting it provides relief to refugees facing uncertainty. Pakistan hosts approximately 1.3 million registered Afghans and over 80,000 with Afghan citizenship cards. The repatriation of undocumented Afghans began on November 1st, with 500,000 having returned so far. Despite UNHCR claims of suspension, Pakistan's Foreign Office maintains that the repatriation plan continues in an orderly manner. In sports news, the Pakistan Cricket Board has dismissed selectors Wahab Riaz and Abdul Razak following the team's poor performance in the T20 World Cup. The PCB stated that their services are no longer required. Razak was both a member of the men's and women's selection committees, while Riaz was a key figure in the men's committee. This decision follows Pakistan's early exit from the World Cup, where they lost to debutants, the United States, and failed to advance past the group stage. PCB chairman Mohsin Naqvi had indicated that major changes were necessary after the team's poor showing. Following the loss to India, he suggested the team needed significant restructuring. In response to media efforts, Riaz denied exerting undue pressure on the selection committee, stating that all decisions were documented and that he would later issue a statement. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg announced at the summit that the actions agreed upon would serve as a bridge for Ukraine's membership in the alliance. He emphasized that while the final declaration's wording is important, actions speak louder. Stoltenberg highlighted that a long-term commitment and increased aid would bring Ukraine closer to NATO membership, though he stated it is too early to set a timeline. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz assured NATO leaders that Germany would fulfill its responsibilities within the alliance. Scholz emphasized Germany's unique position as the largest country in Europe within NATO and reiterated his commitment to pulling its weight in the military alliance. In related news, US President Joe Biden has pledged to defend Ukraine against Russia's invasion, announcing a new air defense systems for Kyiv at NATO summit. Biden revealed that the US, Germany, the Netherlands, Romania, and Italy would provide Ukraine with equipment for 5 additional strategic air defense systems, including 4 Patriot batteries and a SAMPT defense system. Biden's foreign policy aims to restore alliances, underscoring his commitment to NATO. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that NATO allies had begun transferring F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Blinken promised that the jets promised by Denmark and the Netherlands are currently being transferred to bolster Ukraine's defenses against Russia. Additionally, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre confirmed the transfer of 6 F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine, with the first arrivals expected by the end of the year. He emphasized the importance of these jets combined with air defense systems in enabling Ukraine to defend itself against Russian air attacks. In response, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude to NATO countries for strengthening Ukraine's air forces with F-16 jets. Zelensky thanked the United States, Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway for their support, stating that these steps would reduce Russia's ability to terrorize Ukrainian cities and communities. He noted that the F-16s would bolster Ukraine's air defense, especially in light of recent attacks such as the one on the 𝐒𝐭𝐲𝐬𝐻 Children's Hospital in Kyiv. Touching on broader context, Russia has long viewed NATO's expression in Eastern Europe as evidence of Western hostility. President Vladimir Putin cited NATO's expansion towards Russian borders over the past 2 decades as a key reason for the invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. NATO maintains that it is a purely defensive alliance, posing no threat to Russia.